Hi everybody, we are in the live show of MONOR.
All I need is me, myself, and I. Sometimes I wish I was somebody else.
Tonight we have a very nice live show with MOHAMED IBRAHIM, who are one of the best guides in the ancient Egypt, about Egyptology.
I was somebody else. I go my own way. Don't care what you say. I do my own thing. I do my own thing. I go my own way. Don't care what you say. I do my own thing. I do my own thing. I go my own way. Don't care.
And I want to tell you that I am the author of the book MONOR.
What you say. I do my own thing. I do my own thing.
And now I want to introduce you my colleague Rosana. Hi Rosana, how are you?
Hola amigos de habla hispana. Salam alaikum. Hi everybody to the rest. I'm very well. Today we have a very special show with the best guide in town, MOHAMED IBRAHIM. Hello Mohamed.
Hello, Rosanna. Hello, Sergio.
How are you, Mohamed?
I'm very good. The weather in Egypt is great nowadays.
Thanks you a lot. We have the possibility to talk with you about Egyptology, about the ancient Egypt, because it's a very interesting knowledge to know all about all time we are knowing news about new research we can say, Rosana.
Yes.
New findings.
New findings, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's full of curiosity, if we can say that, the Egyptology tradition and civilization from Egypt. Then
the pleasure is mine, because I love to talk about ancient Egypt anytime, and it is one of my dreams is to give a chance to everybody to know about ancient Egypt from a very good source, so they can understand the truth about ancient Egypt.
Yeah, because
sorry, Sergio.
Sometimes there are confusion about this. There are many people, they say many different ideas about the Egypt civilization. And sometimes it's very important to know from one good source. How we say source?
Source.
Source. A good source, to have a good source information. Or to have it from a good source.
Because for a long time, the Egyptian history was explained from a very restricted academic way. And everything was being explained as be done by lots of workers, hundreds of workers, by muscles, by pushing, by dragging. Even when we talk about hundreds of tons of stones and obelisks. And in the last 30 years, another group was against the first group, and the second group was talking about way too much about aliens, about extraterrestrials. So we had the first group is very basic, very old ideas. The second group is exaggerating too much.
The alternative information.
Yeah, so we need the third group to come and to make balance in between, and to give us reasonable ideas, and to give us some stories Yeah, not very low standard, but also not very exaggerations.
Fantastic. If you want, Rosana, we're going to introduce the information of our book. And after we start with the show of the, then
Yeah.
you want to talk about.
We have this book, which Sergio wrote in Spanish first, and then I helped him to translate it into English. And remember, it's not the same book, because many people are asking me, are they the same book? Of course they are not, because in the English version, we went through the whole dictionary, English dictionary, all right? So we have it in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And it's about how we have been cheated throughout history through language, how our language has been we have decoded our language, and we even go to Sumerian, all right? So if you are interested in knowing the truth, you can go to our page, www.monor.org, and you can buy the book over there or write to us if you need more information. And now I would like Mohamed to introduce himself, because he's not only just a guide. He's a guy with a lot of knowledge. He's been studying and working for 20 years. So tell us about your background a little bit, please.
Okay, I was born in a place called Badrashin. It is the big city of Memphis, Saqqara, Dahshur, Abu Sir, and those are all ancient Egyptian sites. They are very close to my home, my family house. So when I was very young, I used to see tourists are going to such sites. I became very interested in, when I was around 10 years old, it was my first school trip to Saqqara, and it was my first contact with the ancient sites. And I became very excited with this kind of too much history and too much carvings. And I visited the site called the Serapeum. Serapeum or Serapeum is an underground tunnel, like the subway, full of giant boxes. They mistakenly call it sarcophagus. Each box with the cover is weighing around 100 tons. So that was a kind of a great question to me. How come? Scusa. Because, yes. How come the ancient Egyptians made such megalithic boxes? And I became very interested in this subject, so I decided to go to the Egyptology school. So after high school, I went to the Faculty of Tourism and Hotels, and I studied to become a tour guide. And I choose this way because there is another academy to let you graduate directly as an Egyptologist. But I feel that to become a tour guide, I'm going to study more than Egyptology studies, because I studied ancient Egypt, which is the only study of the Egyptologist. But I studied extra. I studied the history of the Greco-Roman Egypt, the Greek time and the Roman time in Egypt. And then I started the Coptic. I studied the Coptic era. I studied the Islamic era, which is very long because it took from 642 AD till almost the 1900 AD, till the end of the Ottoman Empire. Plus what I call it the modern Egypt. And I studied with this, the Egyptian language, and I was teaching the ancient Egyptian language. And I studied the Egyptian religion in many levels, including of course, the ancient Egyptian religion and the Coptic and the Islamic religion. And this is why I feel that I can make so many comparisons between different eras of Egypt together with the ancient Egypt. And I can also feel and sense the development of the Egyptian symbols and even the Egyptian language during ages. And I graduated at 2000 ED, and from this time I'm working as a tour guide. And like after 5 years of working as a tour guide, as a freelancer, I decided to have my own tours because I wanted to do a new style of tours. And I succeeded in doing this, and I started to operate my own tours. And I can tell you now, I am like a partner in a travel agency. So I am like reaching my dreams, and I am trying to put high standards of the Egyptian ways of leading tours. It is not just fancy hotels, not fancy food, but as I keep saying, we need to show our visitors the real history of Egypt.
So, would you like to start with the slides, or?
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Vale. We have a slide presentation, and Mohamed is going to explain to us the information about each one. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this pottery jar or clay displayed in the Egyptian Museum. This section is what they call it pre-dynastic section. According to history, what we learned in the school, the Egyptian civilization is 3,000 years BC. Started 3,000 years BC. And before that time, there was an era, we call it the pre-dynastic, because from 3000 BC, we started what we call it dynastic time. Dynastic or dynasty is like royal family. Like the French famous royal family, Louis X, Louis XV. So we had, as an example, King Ramses II. He was dynasty 19, Tutankhamun, dynasty 18, Hatshepsut 18, King Khufu, dynasty 4, King Khephren, dynasty 4. And so we had from dynasty 1 to dynasty 30 dynasties, 30. Before 3000 BC, we call them pre-dynastic people, primitive people, and they started around 7000 BC, and they were collecting the food from the trees, hunting animals, live in caves, and they started to gather and creating communities. And from small communities, it became small villages, and then towns, and then big cities, and then two kingdoms, one in the north of Egypt, we call it Lower Egypt, one in the south of Egypt, we call it Upper Egypt. And they were fighting until the unification happened. King Narmer from the south defeated the north, and this was the beginning of dynastic Egypt. So what is the story of pre-dynastic? All Egyptologists call them primitive people. They didn't have any technology. They didn't have any tools. All the tools they had were flint, wooden tools, maybe bones from animals, but they didn't have metal like what we expect from the dynastic time. So when we see a piece like this, we understand that this is a primitive way of art, and we don't expect much from the time or from this group of people, pre-dynastic people. So when we see the second slide, we will see that the second piece is matching the same type of art. And in pottery and clay, they also developed somehow. They started to add some art. It is not just basic jar. They started to have or to add some kind of details. Like here we see group of layers. This is like a jar to put maybe rice or to put something inside. And it is decorated with a group of females holding hands. And we can know that they are females because they show the breast of the lady. It could be also a way to express about the power of the feminine at the time, because it was very important for them. And later in this talk, we will explain the power of the Egyptian female in ancient Egypt. So this, what I call it now, a kind of development in this kind of art. With the third slide, we will see another type. This is not developed. This is considered like the first style. So we shall go to the fourth one. Okay. You can see also the style. They started to find a way to make curves and to make the hands and to create a nice neck. Okay. Let's go to the fourth slide. Now we can see they started to create longer necks, but here they started to make drawings. And we can see they wanted to imitate the nature surrounding them. Like the bottom of this jar, we can see this big animal. It is a hippopotamus. That animal on the lower level, 2 hippopotamus. And the one above looks like a lizard. It's not a lizard, it is a crocodile, alligator. And the water wave representing the Nile, or some of the lakes in the south or in the north side of the Nile. Okay. So let's go to the other slide. Okay. Now we come to completely different story. If I keep going explaining the pottery jars, this will make sense. And I'm talking about the development of primitive people. Slightly will go one by one, up, 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 until they reach development. But in the same tomb, from the same time, we found the pottery jars. We also found this piece. This piece is from alabaster stone. Now, this is not mud, this is not clay, this is a stone called alabaster. Alabaster is like marble. If somebody knows Carrara marble, this is close to Carrara marble, but the color of this is always beige. Alabaster may be not hard stone, but it needs a metal. It needs at least a chisel, which is not correct. I don't agree that this was done by a chisel, but at least a chisel. And this time, according to the other objects were found, there was no such tools used at all. So how come they made this kind of plate with the curvy angles? If you look to the sides, you can see it takes the shape of a curve. How they did that? We're explaining that they were doing mud and clay and pottery. What does it mean that we find in the same tomb, in the same collection, a piece like this? And if you look to the circle in the middle, in the base of the plate, it is perfect circle. Cannot be done by hand. It must be done by a tool. If we move to the other slide, another piece from the same collection, more complicated than the other one. We can see a piece of 4 layers, one inside each other. And by the way, they are all one piece. Those are not 4 pieces together. No, it is just one piece. All of it is one piece. But
is this alabaster also?
This is also alabaster. Okay. So who made this? They're using a advanced machine to cut the alabaster in a very smooth way, as you can see, and very precise way. If we measure the circles, the one after the other, they are perfect circles. By hand, we cannot produce this. It must be a machine. And if you look again to the center, you will see perfect circle. as if it was done by a tube drill, not by even a regular power tool held by hand. No, this was done by a big machine, and that machine was designed to operate by a computer program. So I'm not talking about a power tool held by hand, like some of our modern workers can do. No, I'm talking about a machine. They put the piece of alabaster inside the machine, and the machine will do this carving automatically. And again, the surprise that this piece was found in the same collection of pottery jars. And if you look around the piece, you will see the bases of some other jars. You can see on the top to the right side, this is the base of a pottery jar next to it. So what is the explanation of this? How come we can accept that those pieces were found with the other pieces? The only solution is to believe that there was an earlier civilization, lived and disappeared or died or something happened, and those are the objects belong to this earlier civilization. And the pre-dynastic people, because for sure the pre-dynastic are true, for sure they were primitive. So what happened? They must found these objects. And when we say found, it means it was made before them, was made by an advanced civilization in ancient Egypt. So it seems that when we say ancient Egypt, just like this, just ancient Egypt, no, we are not correct. We must say older ancient Egypt or previous ancient Egypt, and we can also say dynastic ancient Egypt. And we are using now a term we call pre-cataclysmic ancient Egypt. We believe that there was a civilization before the cataclysm. That cataclysm happened 9,700 BC, the end of the Ice Age. And we believe that this disaster was the reason that this kind of advanced civilization disappeared. And here we are talking about the evidences of the existence of this civilization. And as I just explained, that from the pre-dynastic time, we found things can be easily called pre-dynastic, can be easily called primitive, but in the same time, we found very complicated designs, needs very high technology. Even the technology of the dynasties cannot produce this kind of plate. This is very complicated. This needs technology like what we use nowadays, or even better technology. Okay. We can move to another slide.
Mohamed, one question.
Yes.
When we are talking about pyramid, we can say that the pyramid are from the older pre-dynastic civilization?
Yes, but not all of them. Some pyramids which also reflect the same way of advanced technology.
The best well-made are the ancient.
Exactly.
And the new one are the construction are worse than the previous one.
Exactly. Which is also, it's supposed to be, if we agree that the best pyramids were the 4th dynasty, so the 5th must build better. If you do something in the 4th dynasty, the same kind of will develop. Okay, so the 5th and then the 6th must be better than the 4th. But no, we found that this is not happening, that the 4th is much better than the 5th, the 6th, the 8th, the 9th, the 11th, the 12th. So how come? So it means that, yes, the small pyramids, the pyramids doesn't have big blocks, doesn't reflect high technology, are dynastic. But the pyramids with giant blocks, like the Great Pyramid, like all Giza Plateau, like Dashur, no, in my opinion, they belong to this previous civilization.
In your opinion, in which period we are talking about when we are about the previous civilization or the ancient pre-dynastic civilization? Which
Okay.
period we are
Look, for sure, we know the end was 9,700 BC. But the beginning could be from 20,000 to 80,000 BC. So this will be the time frame.
20 to 18, the starting.
No, 20,000 to 9,000 BC, 9,700.
The segment
Or,
of the...
yes, or 80,000 and 9,700. 80.
Sí, 80,000, sí.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Okay. And you can ask me why I say 80. Why not 20? Why not 25? Why not 30? Why 80?
Yes.
Because we found not much, but we found some cases of I don't know if we can call it mummies or corpse, okay, but in a good shape. One of them is 60,000 BC. We call it Taramsa child. It's a child was found in a very good condition, and he was buried, or he was found as if he is sitting, not sleeping, not lying, as like sitting upright, okay, looking to the east, and this is one of the ways of the burial in ancient Egypt. And when they made they used the carbon 14, they found that it is 60,000 years old. 660, yes. And we have Tarkhan human or person. Also, it is 36,000 BC. And we have another one was found. So we have so many dead bodies were found, and indicates very old history before 10,000 BC. So we have 7,000 BC, we have 10,000 BC, 15,000 BC, 30,000 BC, and 35 or 36,000 BC, and 60,000 BC.
This dead body, they found with ceramic objects around them?
No, we found them with very simple objects. It's like hunting tools, like survival tools, but not like the pre-dynastic tools.
Okay. Then maybe this civilization, they built this pyramid is previous even then.
Exactly. Because maybe this is not the subject of our talk today, but it could be in the near future. I also have a very interesting story, but based on true knowledge. We call it the 5 cycles of the sun. Our sun has 5 cycles. Yes, the first cycle is Kepler, the scarab. Okay, yeah. You know the scarab?
Yes.
Yes. This is the beginning. We call it the dawn time. It is like 5 o'clock in the morning, and then the second cycle is Ra. Ra is like 10 o'clock in the morning. And then we have the third cycle, Atom. Atom is noon time. And then we have AT, like Akhenaton. Aton is the afternoon, is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we have Amun, the 5th cycle. Amun is sunset, darkness. So we lived a long time in Amun cycle, and we are crossing, or we already finished the cycle of Amun, and we are going up again to the cycle of Kepler. And this is what the Mayans said in their calendar. Of course, all of us heard about 2012, okay, 2012, the end of the world. But no, it wasn't the end of the world. It was the end of the cycle of Amun. So
maybe plate represents the 5 cycle.
Maybe. I agree with you.
1,
okay.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, so they say that each cycle is 20,000 years. Each cycle takes 20,000 years. But maybe Amun can be 20 only, or Amun could be 80,000, because Amun, the whole night is 1 cycle. The morning is 4 cycles. From 5 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock p.m., that is 4 cycles. But from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., it is 1 cycle. So Ammon could be 80,000 years by himself, or could be, and I agree with this, or it could be 20,000 years old. So when we count back, we reach 80,000 BC. So the cycle before Ammon was 80,000 BC.
Nice. Okay, I put you the next slide.
This is also one of the very interesting pieces.
You wanted I play this one, or
Yes.
Okay.
This is a hand. This is the same size like human hand. Okay. This made from a semi-precious stone called jasper, red jasper. This hand was a part of a big statue or complete statue. So how come the pre-dynastic people, or even the dynastic, or even us in modern days, can carve a big statue from jasper? And where we can get this big block of red jasper so we can do this carving, and what is the need to do this? This is a very clear evidence of the ability of the people who made this statue. Not only the ability as technology, but also it shows us the kind of, or the other aspect of this civilization, which is spirituality. So we can use this to prove that ancient Egypt was very advanced in technology and also was very advanced in spirituality. Because according to my knowledge and some other sources, that jasper has a kind of healing power, especially for the depressions, for if someone is feeling irritated or very worried about anything. It's like phobia or claustrophobic. Jasper is producing a kind of good energy to support the confidence of somebody. So as if you have a piece of this or a statue of this in your house, you will have a very good positive energy all the time. Okay. So this is one of my main questions. How come we can claim that this piece, which was a part of a statue, like a human life size, how it was made during the pre-dynastic time? Okay, then the other slide. Yes, the one with the name Bet. First line. Okay. So someone can tell me, look, maybe the pre-dynastic people, they were very exceptional people. They can do things using their hands, their fingers. Of course, this is insane to believe this, but as I love to say and to tease with my friends, let's pretend we can agree, okay? Those pre-dynastic are exceptionals and they can produce very fancy jars from hard stones. But what about philosophy? Truly, you can be an exceptional person and you can achieve things because of your talent, because of your hand. But when you know, or when you have a knowledge about the cosmos, it needs long time for teaching. It needs some kind of like great researches. You need spaceships to go. You need NASA to tell you about the stars and to tell you about the galaxies. This design also from the same section, pre-dynastic, and I feel sad a little bit because I didn't include the other picture written by Egyptologists. So what I'm going to say now, it is not my opinion. I believe in it, okay? I agree with it, but it is the Egyptology definition of this piece. They call this Bat, and Bat is the female word of Ba. Ba means great spirit. So Bat is the great female spirit. They say Bat is the cosmic cow. The cosmic cow. And they tell us that this one which looks like a tree now, it is originally a head of a cow with the two big horns, okay, like Hathor. And they call this design the galaxy, the Milky Way. This is the shape of our Milky Way. So here is the question: how come this primitive person, this hunter, this one who is surviving? Yes, this is, yes, the first picture to the left. Okay. It is something like this without the solar disk in the middle. This is Hathor, okay? But Bat is considered as an older style of Hathor. Who is Hathor? Hathor is the lovely knitter, has the face of the cow, or had the identity of the cow. Bat is the same shape, head or face of a woman with the two ears of the cow and the two horns of the cow. Okay, that's why we call our galaxy in our modern way Milky Way, milk from the cow. Okay, so the Egyptologists call it the cosmos tree, or the cosmos cow, or the Milky Way. So how come we believe that primitive people could hardly survive, could hardly be safe during the night, and they figure out that we have a galaxy? They are not talking about a sun, maybe minutes they can see a clear night. No, they found the philosophy and the knowledge of the galaxy. So again, this is not their knowledge. This is the knowledge of the previous civilization. For sure, they cannot reach this kind of information by just watching the sky, because they don't have time to do this. Okay. So the next slide. Yes, Mars. Okay, here is another example that they were also looking for the planets in our galaxy, and they could define the planet Mars, and they call it Red Horus, Hertischer, Red Horus, which we still also call it in our modern ways the red planet. Okay, so I can say maybe they can recognize the movement of Mars on the space, but why they call it red? How come they can see the red color by their naked eyes? There is no way to recognize that kind of red color by naked eyes. We started to recognize this when we sent spaceships on missions to Mars. But the ancient Egyptians, in a very interesting way, they call it the Red Horus. Okay, so again, this is a kind of very important advanced knowledge, and this must belong to an advanced civilization. And by the way, they also recognized Orion, the star, and Orion Belt. They recognized Sirius star. They recognized the group of stars, we call them Draco. So the ancient Egyptians had great knowledge with the stars, with the universe. So they were not just great builders, they were also great observers of the sky. And there was a very interesting title for some of the priests. They call him the watcher of the sky, the person who was watching the sky. But I don't think that it was a very simple function. No, in my opinion, this kind of person was a great scientist, and he was dealing with the knowledge of the sky. Okay. Next. Yes. Let's go with the tube drills. Yes. Okay, now we come to a new level of evidences to prove the ancient Egyptian technology. We are not talking now about the block itself and about how they cut rose granite from Aswan. And when we say rose granite, we must immediately think about Aswan in the far south, because this is the quarry of rose granite. Do we have rose granite in North Egypt? No. East Egypt? No. West Egypt? No. Middle Egypt? No. It is located only in Aswan on the north and the far south part of Egypt. So it's a great challenge to cut the stone, great challenge to move this out of the quarry and to send the stone to its location, either Luxor or Giza or later Alexandria. Now we can see a big hole was made because this is going to be the top piece of the door jamb. Okay, when you have a door, the ancient Egyptian used to have the hinge to the up side, not to the regular sides like we do. So the door used to be connected from above and below. So this was made to receive that kind of nail from the door. So when we look carefully, we can see perfect cut, and we can see some lines. Can you see the lines? Okay, they call them striations. So according to many engineers who were inspecting this, and they had the chance to see it and to see the core, the piece which was taken out, because how this was made by what we call a tube drill. That tube drill, like a huge cup, and it goes and it drills around the stone, and it reaches certain level, and then they knock out this piece and they take it out. Okay, we call it the core drill. And the British engineer and Egyptologist Flinders Petrie found many of those core drills, and so many of it located or exhibited in his museum near the British Museum called Petrie Museum. And they are very nice people that they give you the chance if you want to go and you can actually test or examine one of these core drills, and you can hold it in your hand and you can see the precision of the striations. So what is the story of the striations? That according to the speed and the pressure of the machine, it shows and it tells us how fast it was from the distance between the striations. Okay, if the distance between the striations was big, so that machine is very advanced. It was very close to each other, the machine is not very advanced. How? Because of the pressure. Let me explain to you. When I have this machine and it is very or a superior machine, it cuts 1 centimeter in each time. Okay, when it revolves, it goes deeper 1 centimeter. But if I have regular one like ours, like in modern time, our modern time, it cuts this 1 centimeters maybe in 5 rounds, not just 1 round. So it creates 5 lines. Okay, you got my point? So to go 1 centimeter, our modern machine will create 5 striations. But the ancient machine will make 1 striation only because it is much better. So this is what we see in this piece, that the distance between the striations are quite bigger than our modern machines. Our modern machines will do a work not with the same perfection like the ancient. And guess what? This is, again, rose granite. This is very hard stone. We have a scale of solidness for stones. We call it MOHS scale, MOHS. Diamond is 10. So this is 6 on MOHS scale. So it is above the middle, and it seems that the ancient Egyptians found a way to deal with rose granite, because rose granite, because it contains crystals on it, there is crystal pieces, 13% crystal, it can destroy the blade of the machine easily. After maybe 10 or 20 rounds, the blade needs to be changed. But it seemed that the Egyptian found a way to make a very efficient blade can cut all the way through. So can we go to the second slide? Okay, here is a one closer. So if we measure the distance between the striations, we can find that it may be from 1 to 5 millimeters, okay? Which is, the 5 millimeters is considered as a big space between the layers. So this machine was cutting 5 millimeters every round, which is too much. Our technology doesn't do this. Our technology can do this, but in a very advanced places. But the regular technology available in the regular workshops doesn't do this. This is better than our regular technology, okay? And I had a very good story when I was finishing my new apartment. I asked from the man who was designing the kitchen to provide me with slices of rose granite above the wood. And the man insisted to find or to convince me with any other kind of marble. I told him, no, I need rose granite. And he said, no, rose granite is not available. And he was trying to avoid using rose granite until I figure out the reason. And I told him, I know you are talking about losing the diamond blade you use. He said, yes, because if I deal with any kind of marble, I'm going to use this diamond blade several times. But dealing with rose granite, he will use the diamond blade maybe 1 or 2 times only. So he will need to buy a new diamond blade. So I promised him to buy him a new one, and he must provide. And that was the deal, and he brought me rose granite. So even the workers in this field, they know that it is very hard to deal with rose granite. And guess what? Most of the Egyptian giant and important objects are made from rose granite. As if the ancient Egyptians were telling us in a very clear way, yes, we had this technology. Don't think twice. It is just one way leading us to understand that they had this kind of technology. Okay, second slide. No, we already have seen this. Okay, I need this big pillar. The one to the right side. Bombay's pillar. Above. Yes. Exactly. This is a giant pillar in Alexandria. And unfortunately, they claim this is a Greco-Roman pillar, which of course it's a very silly opinion. if you will visit Rome or Greece, you will not find any similar pillars. This is one piece of rose granite, 28 meters high. Again, one piece of rose granite, 28 meters high, weighing more than 700 tons. So we are talking about multi-technology here. The first kind of technology, how they cut this big block. The second type of technology, they transferring this from Aswan to Cairo or to Alexandria later. The third type of technology, how they shape this pillar to be perfect like this. I love this picture because it shows the reflection of the sun beam on the smoothed and shiny surface of the pillar. And you can realize that there is no mistake. I learned it because I moved from many apartments. I used to buy apartments and with plain tiles, plain walls, and I decorated all of them from zero. So I used to understand when I look to the wall, if the wall is perfectly smoothed, if the wall have any bumpy shapes, and light was the best solution. So this one, as you can see, the sun was on the other side, so it reflects on this smoothed, shiny surface, and if there is any mistake, you will see it. If there is any irregular straight line, you will see it. If there is any bumpy shape, you will see it. But here we are, we cannot see a single mistake was done. And guess what? Another miracle, I call it miracle, that the base of this pillar is wider and it goes narrow to the top. Maybe it is not big difference, but for sure it is happening. So that is also needs a great talent because they must do the right side perfect to match the left side. So we are talking again about machines. This cannot be done by hand. It is impossible to be done by hand. Okay. But why we call it Greco-Roman? Because that upper part, what we can call it the crown, it looks like Greek style, which can be done in any time. Someone can climb this like any regular palm tree climber in Egypt, and they can use their hammers. And you can see the difference. If you can see the smoothed, shiny part of the pillar and the dark, unsmoothed part of the capstone, right? Because that capstone was re-chiseled. That's why it lost this shiny layer. Okay. So again, as we explained earlier, that it belonged to the pre-cataclysm civilization. It doesn't belong to the dynasties. Next slide. Okay, the unfinished obelisk. Yeah, I want the other one. The other one first, and this. Okay, this is the quarry of rose granite in Aswan. The wall in front of us, this is what I can call it the western side, and the obelisk here in the middle. We can see a straight line goes from all the way up, down, and then the one next to it, and then the other. It's like a scooping mark. It is not a mark of a chisel. It is not a mark of hammering the stone. It is not a mark of laser also. Okay, it is not a mark we can identify with primitive tool or modern tool. We don't recognize this mark. This mark is not listed in our lists. So again, this is not a mark of a primitive tool and also is not a mark of an advanced tool we have. So what is the solution? That this is a mark of a tool we don't know or we don't have. But someone can say, I just said it looks like a scooping mark. Yes, as if this is a big piece of cheese or ice cream, and with a big knife, they made the scooping mark. So it could be a machine run by ultrasonic. Can ultrasonic cut this? Yes, ultrasonic can cut stones. And we are using this in a limited way in kidneys operations. When we have a stone in the kidney, they destroy it with the ultrasonic, right? When I asked Christopher Dunn, he is an originally English engineer. He lives in America now. He wrote 2 books about ancient Egypt. The first book is called Giza Power Plant, and the second book is called Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt. And this man is brilliant, very smart, and he studied much things about ancient Egypt. And I asked him, can we consider laser as one of the main tools used in ancient Egypt? He said the possibility could be okay, but till now, and listen carefully, this is what changed my way of thinking. He said, we didn't find the mark of laser. So I asked him, what do you mean by the mark? He said, every tool leaves a certain mark. If you are using an iron chisel, if you are using a copper chisel, if you are using a pounder, a big piece of a stone, if you are using a diamond blade, if you are using laser, if you are using sound, each one leaves different mark. And from the mark, you can identify the tool, even if we don't have the tool. So like this. And he told me also something I didn't think before or know before, that laser is perfect in dealing with metals, okay, to cut or to melt iron or other kinds of metal, but laser is not very good with stones, okay? So we reached that fact that maybe the reasonable story is using ultrasonic or another machine using pressure, okay, using gravity to press the blade with gravity, so it will maximize the weight of this piece, and then it will go through. And the most interesting thing that this mark, as you can see, that's why I made sure to show you this one first. It goes from the other side all the way down, and then will go under the obelisk itself. It's like a big round cut. It is not just cutting the side, but it cuts the side and the base and also under the obelisk itself. We will see it in the next slide.
It's like if they have done with a spoon.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But as I say, that the spoon maybe is the one will make the shape, but the hand is the one will make the power. So we need something to match the power of the hand, but with the big size we are talking about. So you can see this now is the extension of the cut we saw in the first picture. And if you look under the feet of those visitors, this is in one of my tools, those are my clients, you can see the same mark still going under their feet, and it goes all the way under the obelisk, okay? And the interesting thing that when we measured each mark, we found that all are the same. So it is very clear that they were done by the same tool, by the same blade, the same size, okay? And it goes all the way from top down and goes under the obelisk. So this is the first type of technology. We need to figure out what it is. And then the second type of technology, after they cut this piece, and we are talking about the unfinished obelisk, maybe not this one. This is the second unfinished obelisk. And by the way, many people don't know about this one. They all know about the big unfinished obelisk, the first one. The first one, the estimate weight is 1,200 tons. Shall I say again? 1,200 tons. 1,200,000 tons. Okay? How they were planning to carry this and take it out of the quarry. In our modern time, there is no way. It will take lots of time and too much money to do this. Okay? So how come the ancient Egyptians were planning, after they cut this, they will take this first from this deeper layer. And by the way, this is not the edge of the quarry or the side. This was in the middle of the quarry and in a deeper level. So they had to go down, take this up, and then move out of the quarry. Okay? So if we talk about cranes, if we talk about our modern machines, no, this job will, I will not say impossible. It will be done, but it will take too much time and too much money. Let me show you the other slide, and we will know what we are talking about. Next slide.
Mohammed, it's like they are disintegrating the stone. It's like a technology for Rosana. Can we say disintegrating?
You mean melting? Deshaciendo? Okay.
It's like a melting technology, melting the stone.
No, I don't agree with this, because melting here, it means they change the molecular structure and it will not come back the same style. Okay, so this didn't happen. But they were using a machine can deal with the stone as if it was melting. But it wasn't melting.
Not melting all the stone, but they was cutting. In the way they were cutting, they was melting the stone.
No, because according to Christopher Dunn, we didn't find this mark, this melting mark. If we found it, we will say yes, because melting will leave a different surface.
In the surface.
Yes, but we didn't find this.
Okay.
It is clean cut. Okay, I want the picture with the crane.
The crane?
Yes, the lifting is this one. Yes. Okay, here it is. Many people maybe will not understand why I took this picture. I was in Karnak Temple for hundreds of times, and I used to see that one, the big crane, back in the picture. But in the last 4 years, they brought this new yellow one to build a small wall. And what attracted my attention, that they were dealing with small blocks, like let's say 20 kilograms, maximum 50 kilograms. So they need this big machine to lift small blocks, maybe 50 centimeters long and wide, like small. They use this machine to do the job. So what about this big obelisk? If this machine was brought for such a small block, what kind of a machine, or what will be the size of the machine deal with the obelisk? 34 meters high, 1,100 tons, 1,200,000 kilograms. What kind of crane we are going to have? And the crane here in the back of the picture, this also was brought from the 80s to reconstruct one of the gates of Karnak Temple, and also it deals with small size of blocks. maximum more around 100 kilograms. Okay, so this is very hard evidence and very hard exercise for us. If we are using our technology just to lift stones less than 1 tons, or let's exaggerate and say less than 5 tons, which is not true, but let us be generous. So if they were dealing with stones less than 5 tons, so what kind of technology we need to deal with stones more than 50 tons and more than 500 tons? So that is a question I need them to answer me. If we have a block or a big stone weighing 500 tons, what kind of technology we are going to use in our modern life? Okay. Next. Okay, I need the picture with this truck, the car. Yes. Also, this is my own picture. Sometimes the drivers of our vehicle, they think I'm crazy. We take photos for things. So he didn't understand why I took this picture. I told him to prove that in order to carry some small blocks, and I say small because in compare with the size of other big blocks we have in Karnak Temple, in the Great Pyramid, in other structures, those are small blocks. So to send these blocks from Aswan to Cairo, we have to send them on board of this big truck. So how come in Egyptology, they still claim that they push and drag bigger blocks than this? So if this was truly happened, that big obelisk in Karnak Temple was pushed from Aswan, or even used the Nile big boat to send it to Luxor, it means we are stupid in modern time, because we are spending too much money on fuel and on such vehicles to bring the stones. Why we didn't stick with the ancient way, according to the Egyptology story? But of course, the Egyptology story is not true. It is not efficient. So we had to follow our modern ways, which is this big truck. And again, if this is the size of the truck carrying 5 blocks weighing maximum 20 tons, or let's pretend 30 or 50 tons, okay? So again, this truck is carrying 5 blocks weighing less than 50 tons. So what kind of truck we need to carry an obelisk 500 tons? Because we need one truck, because it is one piece. The obelisk I'm talking about is one piece. So we need one big truck, 10 times bigger than this truck. Okay. You have a question?
For the moment, no.
Okay.
At the end, yes.
Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, this is okay.
You want I play Tutmosis or
yes, Tutmosis? Okay. Yes. Also, this piece is very interesting piece for me. When you go to the Egyptian museum, and I believe in any museum, you will see a statue and you must see a small label of information next to it, right? But there are some pieces in the Egyptian museum without labels, and this is one of them. There is no label at all, okay? And later they add the label after I became very interested, and they say this is statue for Tutmosis III, and it is made from, and here is the surprise, from marble. Really? When I was studying, they said ancient Egypt didn't have any marble, zero marble. They were using alabaster, they were using granite, they were using slate or schist, they were using granite in different types, granodiorite, limestone, sandstone, but the Greeks who first used marble in Egypt. So we said, okay, we were just young students. We didn't have the information and we didn't argue with this until I started to do tours and to explore many sites inside the Egyptian Museum, because, by the way, you can spend years exploring the Egyptian Museum. It is not an easy visit. The Egyptian Museum will take years of your life and you cannot finish all of it. Okay. So after dealing with another smart researcher called Robert Schoch, he is an American geologist. Dr. Robert Schoch, he also made me insist and to have the desire to study geology and to know more about the stones, because the Egyptian civilization is what we have is mainly stones. Okay, I know we have some kind of metals, papyrus, we have some objects like gold, but we have too much stones, so I need to study about stones. So I started to study in the Geology Museum and to read some books. And I started to have very good idea about many stones, especially the stones were used by the ancient Egyptians. And I can identify different types of stones, maybe from the first look. So when I saw this piece at the Egyptian Museum, I started to wonder, this is not limestone, and this is not alabaster. So what is this? In the bottom of my heart and my brain, I know this is what we can call it Carrara marble. Okay? But I know that why we call it Carrara marble, because it is not an Egyptian marble. This is from Italy. Carrara marble from Italy. Okay? So I started to try to find if we do have a source of marble in Egypt close to Carrara marble. So I had to ask so many people who work in this field until one of them told me, yes, we have a marble called Alaki or Alaki marble. Alaki is the name of the quarry or the name of the mountain in the southwest of Egypt. And he said it is very close to the Carrara marble. So I am very positive now that this kind of a stone was existed in Egypt, used by the ancient Egyptians. And why I brought this picture? Because now this will destroy the story of Greco-Roman Alexandria. Because my own opinion that Alexandria is originally ancient Egyptian. But it got the name Alexandria because of Alexander the Great and some kind of enhancement on the royal section. So it became well known as Greco-Roman Alexandria. But my belief, no, Alexandria was a huge, important, big city during the ancient Egyptian times, but was inhabited by the Greeks and the Romans later. Okay, and here is the evidence that the famous style of art or the famous kind of a stone used by the Greeks and the Romans in Egypt was originally used by the ancient Egyptians. Okay.
It had another name, Alexandria, before the previous time. A different.
Yes, called Abu Qir.
Abu
And
Qir.
Abu Qir, yes, Abu Qir is very similar to Abu Sir.
Abu Sir.
Abu Sir means Osiris place, the place of Osiris.
When we talk about Abu Qir, we are talking about the pre-dynastic time.
No, we are talking about dynastic. It could be pre-dynastic, but for sure it is dynastic.
Okay.
Next slide.
Play another slide.
Yes. Okay. The 4 statues.
Menkaura.
Yes. Okay. This is another miracle in the Egyptian Museum. This is a statue for 3 people. We call them Menkaura and Hathor and a local knitter. We found or 42 statues, group of statues like this. Some are in the Egyptian Museum, some are in the British Museum, and some in the Louvre Museum, and maybe some in America, some I don't know where else. Okay. This kind of stone, again, it is not very hard stone. It is slate. Actually, it is kind of a little bit harder than limestone. So it can be carved easily, but it needs to show such details we are going to see in the next slide. We will see perfect details must be done with a very sensitive tool. Can we show the next slide? Okay. If you look carefully to the body of the female, you can easily identify the difference between the body and the female body, the male muscles and the female muscles. You can see the details of the face, the ears, all the face, like the eyes, the nose, the lips. And we are not zooming in. This is a picture from a distance, okay? Imagine if we zoom in, how much details we can see. If we can see from this distance all the details like this. So what about zooming in and we see very perfect details for the ribs, for the shoulders and the muscles of the body, the arms. And when we go to the next slide, we will see the other part of the statue, the other female, okay? And again, as if this was made by a 3D printer. Next slide. Okay, this is the way to see, very shiny, very polished, okay, and very detailed, as if this man was just spending some time in the gymnasium. And then they relate this to the 4th dynasty. I'm very sorry because I didn't include the writings on the base, because we will see that the writings, the style of the writings doesn't match the style of the carving. The writings, which again was done in a good way, but it doesn't reflect the same perfection from the same tool. If we go back to the first slide or the last slide, just one pushback. Yes. Okay. No, 2 more. Okay, up. The symbol above the head of the local knitter on the right side. Yes, this is the symbol bat again. I know my logo and my name is hiding the face, but this is the symbol bat, which means again the cosmic cow. So it seems that this lady or this knitter or maybe this priestess was a scientist, a female scientist with the cosmos and the cosmic knowledge. Still the same. Okay, let's go to another slide. Yes, the oral slides of.
Which one?
The one in the middle.
Sahu?
Sahu, yes. Okay. So this is what I was talking about earlier, that the Egyptian also identified Sahu. Sahu means Orion. Orion is a famous star on the sky. And we have what we call it Orion star and Orion belt. Orion star is an individual star, as you can see the one above the hand. And Orion belt are a group of 3 stars. They get aligned together, creating a shape of a straight line. And we have a book recently written by Robert Bouval, and he said the 3 pyramids in Giza Plateau are the same alignment like the 3 stars of Orion, Orion belt, like we will see in the other slide. Let's go to the other slide. Okay, so you see the man holding the star, and on the left side we can see like 3 flags or 3 symbols. I call them 3 fingers. Those are the 3 stars on Orion belt. So Orion himself as an individual star, and that is not also my story. This is accepted in Egyptology. Okay, so in official history books, yes, they agree that this is Orion star. Okay, next slide.
Mohammed, one question. How we say in ancient Egypt, how we spell the snake? This
Okay,
snake.
this snake as an example, because all of them doesn't have the same meaning, different meanings. So this snake is letter F.
F.
Like father, yes. Okay. F. So here it plays as F. But in other cases, the snake can play as a complete word, and it can play as energy symbol. Okay. And it can play as a verb. But here, fed, FD. The hand is D. So we call it fed.
Fed.
Yes.
Then in Greek, we say thank you like F Haristo. F Haristo. Then we are thanking the snake. Because you know that in Egypt they are very close with the snake, in the civilization. We can say the kings and the queen are very close with the snake because they put the snake in front of the head.
This is the cobra. Yes. Look, I can tell you why this is representing letter F, because the Egyptian could find some creatures are producing certain sound. Okay. So the snake, and this is the viper, not any kind of a snake. This is the viper.
And the viper is F.
Yes, the viper here, because it makes this sound while it is like hiding under the sand or in the tree. It creates the sound naturally. So the Egyptian were using it to say F. Okay, and it comes as a pronoun in the same time. It comes as like when I say his house. So we use F to play as his. Okay. You need to join my online course, free online course on YouTube, how to learn ancient Egyptian language. I will send you the link.
But in Arabic is fa also.
In English.
No, I mean in Arabic, snake is fa.
No? Yes, exactly. And it has the same
an F.
Yes.
Fa. Then when you say kef,
yes,
because in Greek kef is the head. In Greek kefali is the root, the root word of kephalic is the head. Then because you see the Greek civilization was in a time in one time were the mirror of the Egypt civilization. They were neighbors.
They lived in Egypt. Yes.
They were in Egypt. Then when they say kefali is kef, F is the kefali is the snake into your head. It's like ¿cómo se dice?
Pero
Pussy.
like being possessed. No.
Pushing the head with the snake. In this case, the viper you have said.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if we say the cobra, which name is it?
Okay, the cobra is Jed.
Jed.
Or Dej, yes, Dej, sorry, Dej.
Jed.
Dej.
Dej.
Yes. And the cobra is the one they always put above the head because the cobra is longer. So
Yeah.
in my opinion, it represents vibrations.
Then F is the viper.
Yes.
And Dej,
The cobra.
Dej is the cobra.
Yes.
And there are another name for the snake. There are many names.
No, those are the two main names.
Dej and F.
And F, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next slide. Okay, the Abu Rawash pyramid. Okay, this pyramid is closed for public. To visit this pyramid, we need to do a private permission from the Antiquities Department. Costs $2,000. Just that piece of paper, $2,000 to go there. But it's worth it. This is the base of the pyramid, very close to Giza pyramids. We know that all the pyramid blocks were taken by the locals to build their own houses or churches or mosques because it was stolen in hundreds of years. Okay, that was a kind of a very bad story, but I always see positive ways in this negative story. The positive way is now we can understand what is the design under the pyramid. So we found very surprising story that they never built the pyramid over flat ground. No, they come to the mound and they cut in the middle of the mound, as you can see this big cut. Okay, and they leave the two sides of the mound, and then they build the pyramid to cover the whole mound. So the mound is big part of the main structure. And the tail, if I can call it, the tail of the pyramid will go deep into the bedrock. As if, you know, when I put my plug in the electricity, like my charger, okay? Do you have 2 or 3? Like 2, okay? Like in the States, they have 3. So as if the pyramid is playing the same way. It has 3 nails, 2 from the sides and 1 in the middle, okay? And it goes to the bedrock as if it is connected with electricity, because truly the bedrock is the main source of energy. We have what we call it ley lines under the ground, and those ley lines have electromagnetic field, electromagnetic energy. And I think the Egyptians were building pyramids to use this kind of energy and to enhance the energy somehow inside the main design, and then reproduce different type of energy. Okay. So visiting Abu Rawash pyramid will give us very clear idea about the design of the pyramid from inside. Because if you keep visiting Giza Plateau or Dahshur or Saqqara, you will see the pyramid just from outside. But what is inside, we are not sure. But this is our chance to see the pyramid from inside. Okay, let's go to the next slide. boomerang. This is in Elephantine Museum in Aswan. When we say boomerang, immediately we think about the Aboriginals in Australia, right? And we always relate this kind of weapon or tool to the Aboriginals in Australia. But how come we have the same tool in Egypt, not from the Greco-Roman time, not from Coptic time, not from Islamic time? It is from the dynastic time and from the early beginning of the dynastic time. So boomerang stick or sticks existed in ancient Egypt, maybe during the pre-cataclysm civilization, but at least from the 3rd and the 4th dynasty. So maybe Egypt was connected with the Aboriginals, or listen to this crazy opinion, the Aboriginals were originally Egyptians and immigrated to Australia. In a place in Australia called Carrion National Park, there is a small location called Gosford. They found hieroglyphics written in this small valley. And everybody said this kind of writings is fake, is a hoax, was made by some drunk soldiers, was made by some school students. I am the only one. I said, no, it is authentic. And I presented the evidence. I made a lecture on YouTube, 3 hours, 3 videos. Each one is 1 hour, explaining and translating the writings for them. And I can tell you for sure the writings are ancient Egyptian. So yes, there was a connection between ancient Egypt and ancient Australia. Okay, and here is another evidence, the boomerang stick. Okay, next slide. Yes, any one of them. Maybe many people will see this picture and they will not pay attention, but I learned to pay attention to everything. This man is holding something in his hand, a circle. We don't know what it is. But wait a minute, he is not holding. He actually doesn't touching this round thing, okay? And one of the main things I explain in my tours, that one of the ways must exist in ancient Egypt, if we talk about the big obelisks and that giant pillar we saw and so many other similar pieces, that ancient Egypt must have anti-gravity. Without anti-gravity, we are in a big problem how they move the obelisk out of the quarry. So I think this kind of priest was practicing something like this in his, or in a small scale, he was practicing anti-gravity. And I think the other picture will give us more detail about it. Here it is. Look to the hand, how they like focus or send the energy to the middle, both of them. The upper piece or the upper design is for the heart, and the lower one is like a regular jar, as if they are placing a big heart on this jar. And the heart, in my opinion, and I believe so many will agree with this, that the heart is the original generator of the body. It's not the brain, by the way, it is your heart. And for your knowledge, that your heart has its own special brain. Your brain is playing as a kind of a secretary for the heart. It leads your physical senses and your physical existence. But the heart is the one is dealing with the spiritual aspects of your life and of if there is any other style of life. So someone can call this the chi symbol. Someone can call this as like controlling the object, like levitation, using the power of the heart. Okay, but for sure, yes, ancient Egypt must have this kind of knowledge of levitations or anti-gravity. And the same, like I explained, that in the quarry they could use the opposite technology, maximizing the gravity, to cut the stones by some kind of tools prepared for this. So they can maximize the gravity and they can minimize the gravity. This kind of knowledge is very recent in our knowledge. And they are doing some researchers now, researching. And I believe there are some videos on YouTube that they managed to levitate some kind of small samples, maybe not big objects yet, but by using sound, they managed to levitate some of the objects, okay? So I think we covered a big part of many ways and many corners of the Egyptian history. So now this is the part of questions.
Hola, Sergio.
Mohamed, we were talking before about what happened in the Egyptian Revolution. We can say Egyptian Revolution was like the system. They move the people as they want. We know, and it's the minister of the archaeology, the Egyptian archaeology, is Hawass, or he was.
He was, yes, Hawass.
Hawass. In this time was Hawass 8 years ago.
Yes.
And I don't understand. It had they say they have a problem with the government, with the politic, but they went to the museum from in El Cairo.
Yes.
Went into the museum for take some pieces for steal, for rob, some pieces for do what? Because I don't understand why they wanted to do. The thing that I don't understand why they permitir, ¿cómo decimos permitir?
Let.
How they let that some people go in the cave, in the sótano?
In the underground?
In the underground.
Okay. Let me tell you the story.
What they wanted to do for?
Okay. First of all, the revolution happened, or that story happened in 28th of January, 2011. And the museum was closed, okay? And there was protection, there was security, police everywhere. So a group of people, we don't know how many, maybe 5, 8, or around this, they were prepared to jump from the wall, from the backside, and they broke one of the windows, and they went inside, and they took some pieces from Tutankhamun collection, and then they jumped out and disappeared, okay? Later, after 1 week, and we found a piece in a black plastic bag in one of the metro stations in Cairo. We found a broken statue from Tutankhamun collection. The statue for Tutankhamun with a spear in his hand, okay? And we found later the other pieces stolen from the Egyptian Museum. So as you said, yes, I believe there was a kind of big secret behind this, because this day, in the morning, we had a very organized situation, especially for the police forces. But in the night, it was different story. It was big problem. Yes, the publics were here and there. So it seemed that those people were having the idea that maybe something will happen. Maybe this kind of disorganization will happen. So they prepared themselves. And also my guessing that they were looking for something else, not this kind of object. Because if any small piece from Tutankhamun collection will disappear, everybody will know about it. And they cannot sell this piece. Because if I try to sell it to you and you buy this piece, the Egyptian government will take it back because it is very famous piece. All the pieces of Tutankhamun are famous. Okay? So I think they were targeting something else. But they had to take some of Tutankhamun collection to cover the main target. Okay? But I don't have any evidences, but this is my guessing.
But the Egyptian Museum doesn't say.
No, they don't.
That we have lost pieces
no, they didn't. Look, and maybe
nothing.
Maybe,
if they didn't say, I can suppose that they were in accord with them, under accord with them.
Look, I am not defending them, but if the tomb of the thieves were looking to the basement, they were targeting the basement. I can tell you we have thousands of pieces in the basement, still not recorded yet. There is no any record. There is no labels yet for the basement. But in the first floor and the second floor, every piece has a number and has a name. But the basement, not yet. Okay, there are too much in the basement.
Have you been in the underground?
In a small place they opened 10 years ago or more, called the kids section. Okay, but then was closed after. But in a small part, not all of it.
Have you been? And have you seen very nice pieces, very important pieces that you have, that you think, oh, this kind of pieces must be up on the first level and second level?
Yes, there are, and I believe there are.
Why they hide these kind of pieces here in the underground?
Look, there are so many beautiful pieces and very important pieces, and I think this is going to be exhibited in the new Egyptian Museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum. There is no space, there is no empty rooms in the main museum now. Everything is crowded.
Have you felt any time that there are some interesting ideas to hide some information to the people, to the common people? There are some interesting accords, I don't know, about to hide some information that they can, they don't want that the people make some question.
Look, I want to explain also something to you. The Egyptian Department of Antiquities, okay, shall I say it again? The Egyptian Department of Antiquities in Egypt was under the British and the French control for many years.
Yeah.
So 1954, okay?
In Greece also.
Yeah. So 1954 was the first Egyptian manager for this department. Before this, he was British, okay? So many things were made during this time before 1954, including the Egyptian Museum. And the Egyptian manager received this kind of big responsibility. And I can tell you, maybe till now, they cannot tell us exactly how much pieces in the basement, because it were stored during the British manager and the French manager.
And how many are in England?
Exactly.
And outside the museum.
Okay. And
the same in Greece. They have done the same everywhere, all around the world. French, English, and German. They have took all the pieces, interesting pieces, important pieces from the foreigner abroad lands.
So that's why I feel that, yes, our managers are not in a very good situation, because they received very big responsibility with so many hidden corners because of the French and the British department before.
I don't go now to ask you for the opinion from the Hawass minister, because you are in Egypt. I think it's not right to put you in that situation. But I in my opinion, I don't want you to talk. In my opinion, there are a bit of we can say under with the archaeology pieces and archaeology doctrine or archaeology en la arqueología en the archaeology world. I think I think there are a lot of politics interesting, and they don't want to show the good information to the population, because they don't want the population make to themselves some questions, important questions.
Look, what I can tell you that Dr. Zah Hawass, and he was my doctor, by the way, my professor, he is following the regular academic way.
Okay? Yeah.
And this is not only him, but thousands and tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of archaeologists and Egyptologists. They studied Egyptology in a certain way, and they don't like to develop this kind of science. They don't like to use our modern knowledge to change some ideas and to enhance some of the stories. Okay, so they were depending on one main way is writing. So if they found that your name is written in this place, so it is yours. Okay, my name is written on this piece, it is mine. It is a very old style of Egyptology, and they didn't put the rules of this. It was put again by the British and the French a long time ago. But in my opinion, it is not right to keep following the same old style, the same old way. We need to have a new...
Maybe there are they are too strict, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe the scientists, they are too close-minded. They are afraid to open the mind to accept new ways, new possibilities, new answers.
I agree with you, because remember in the beginning of our talk, I said we had the first group and the second group. And the second group maybe is the main reason for this problem, because the Egyptologists are afraid if they say, okay, let's open the door for new ideas, they started to face ideas about aliens and about like exaggerations, that the pyramid is not built by the Egyptians. The pyramid was built by extraterrestrials. And the pyramid is not a tomb, it's a spaceship, it's a machine. Okay, so they are afraid of this.
Then but if we a very good information from the Egypt civilization, we must ask to the guides, not to the specialist in archaeology. That is.
Yeah, but the guide also studied the same way. I studied the same way.
They are open mind and they accept the new possibilities. They make to themselves more question, and they have a new conclusion. And maybe the scientists, the strict scientists, the orthodox scientists are close. They don't want to move from their way because they are afraid to find new open the landscape of the possibilities.
And I always say in Egypt, we deserve, the Egyptian history deserve new blood we need to do deeper researches, because I believe we will find so many great facts about ancient Egypt. And maybe if we know our past in a good way, we can change our present, we can change our future in many levels. If we are talking about healing, if we are talking about free energy, okay, if we figure out how the ancient Egyptians were doing this, we can use this in our modern time. So yes, the Egyptian history deserve better studies than what happened in the last 200 years.
Listen, Mohammed, the people, I think all around the world, they like the truth. The truth.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they see some people, the system, they block the possibility to find, to receive the solution, the truth, to this kind of information, to get a conclusion, a nice conclusion, to say where we are, who we are, where we are come from, who have made that. Then when we see some people, they block these possibilities, we are against them. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
If for that, sometimes
yes.
we are against to the scientist community, because sometimes the scientist community are too strict and they block new possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
They block the landscape, the horizons. And if for that, sometimes we are against them.
Exactly. And remember when I was talking about the 5 layers of the sun, and Amun we just finished Amun cycle, which is darkness, which is the night. I can tell you 15 years ago, my type of clients were different from nowadays. Nowadays, more questions, more smart questions about everything. 15 years ago, no, was very limited questions, and people could accept any simple story. Okay, but nowadays, no, they don't. So as if we have now bigger movement and new awareness is happening in the whole world.
Nice. Mohammed, thank you very much. Thank you so much to give us this presentation with this image, these slides. And here you have your window. We call this the window of MONOR. And we are very, estamos, ¿cómo decimos encantados?
We are so pleased.
We are so pleased that you offer your presentation.
The pleasure is mine.
In this window.
Maybe we can do another one, because there are so many topics to talk about, like why is there water underneath the pyramid? What about the Colorado Canyon hieroglyphics also?
Okay.
Because we already had the 2 guests from Australia, and they also verified what you said, that they were real hieroglyphics. So, well, for the moment.
Okay.
Mohammed, you are welcome in this window when you want. Okay.
Okay. That's an honor.
I want to ask you after you want, because the people now, they know you. If the people are watching this video, if they want to go to Egypt, they can call you to ask for your help, your guide.
Okay, they can reach me.
You give us your I don't know, your telephone, your email, your.
Okay, they have several ways. Our website, beautyegypttours.com. Okay, beautyegypttours.com. Or my group at Facebook, Guide of Egypt, on Facebook. And I will send you my telephone number if someone wants.
You're gonna send to Rosana, and Rosana gonna send to me, and I gonna put under the video.
Okay.
Nice.
Great.
Give to Rosana all your the detail.
Yes, of course I will.
Your contact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For sure. And we'll go together. All MONOR
Okay.
group to Egypt to reveal the truth.
Sure.
Maybe one day we go to Egypt to your. In which city you are living now?
I'm in Cairo.
Cairo.
Can you see this window behind me?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If we open it, we'll see the pyramids.
Open it, please.
It is it is
Come on.
10:30 p.m. now, so it is dark.
Cairo is a crazy city, of huge, lot of people, cars, and noise, and it's crazy.
Cairo is 28 million people.
28.
My
Crazy.
goodness.
Only Cairo.
Only Cairo. 28 millions.
Yes.
28 million. It's crazy.
So
You
we
will
won't.
you will love Egypt. If you visit Egypt, you will love Egypt, love Cairo.
For sure.
So if you go to the El Cairo, Sergio, you have one chance amongst 28 million to come across Mohammed.
Help me! I'm lost here. Okay.
Once we meet, we are all connected, so we
Sure.
would find you.
Okay.
Well,
Have a great day.
shukran.
You are welcome.
Shukran.
And don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or any if you need to know about anything about ancient Egypt or modern Egypt.
Okay.
Ooh, we have lots of things to know.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You see you next time.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Rosana.
Bye-bye.
See
You're welcome,
Yeah.
Sergio. Thank you.
Bye, Rosana.
Ali, we'll catch on the next video.
Okay.
We want to play some music, Sergio?
Yes. Music master.
All I need is me, myself, and I. Sometimes I wish I was somebody else. I was somebody else. I go my own way. Don't care what you say. I do my own thing. I do my own thing. I go my own way. Don't care what you say. I do my
Sergio,
I do my own thing. I go my own way. Don't care what you say. I do my own thing. I do my own thing.
Folks, see you next time. Bye.